Hello, everybody out there, and welcome to this podcast today. We have a very, very special guest. We have been talking here now before the podcast. It's so interesting. So, welcome to Liana Antanovich. I'm so happy to have you here, and you have a lot to share. Uh, yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anne. It's my greatest pleasure to be a guest at your podcast.
Yeah, and you are living in Latvia, but you have a big history behind you. So please tell us where did you come from and where are you now?
Sure. I was born in the Republic of Belarus, and then it happened that I worked and lived and trained horses and people in various countries. It was in Belarus, and it was then in Russia, and then for the last 20 years in the United States. So it was a very good international experience. And I'm happy to share what I know, what I've seen with the audience.
Yeah, we were talking a little about that you started on a riding school in Russia, and that was not so good for you. Tell us about that.
Oh, the riding school I entered was in Belarus. It was in the Republic of Belarus. And I was very fortunate to get there because the education was very thorough, and the demands on performance from children, from sportsmen of certain age were very definitive. And I was already late and too old. I was 16. And people supposed to enter a professional riding school at the age 11 or 12, and by 16 already compete at certain level classes and have wins and titles. So I was late, and they didn't take me into dressage or show jumping division for beginners. Those two stables were too close to the riding school administration office. Nobody wanted to see a very tall girl in a group of children. But behind the forest, behind the trees, there was an eventing division a little bit further away from the administration office, and they took me in after all my crying and pleading. So it was a very, very nice, almost slightly over a year in the riding school, when for the first time, like you have all kinds of horses in the riding school, and they're not perfect, of course, and they're not as sensitive, and they're not as pliable and agile and such. But that was my first experience when I put a horse on the aids in front of my leg on the beat into uphill balance, and was able to manage a horse. It was a big breakthrough. But in professional riding school, children get to this state of riding within their first year, being much, much younger with much less mature brains and bodies. And so then I followed my friends. I left riding school. I followed my friends to join a sports section in the state stud in Belarus, where I trained and rode horses for 4 years. After that, many years in Russia, where I, among all other trainers and wonderful in show jumping and in dressage, I have to know that I was fortunate to receive some tips from Elena Vladimirovna Petushkova, former Olympic champion and president of the Russian Equestrian Federation. but also other very, 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 very good coaches and competing sportsmen. And the last 20 years, it was in the United States. So rich experience, yeah. It started from riding school in Belarus.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And then you went to USA, and we were talking a little about horses. I know I jump a little, but I think it's so exciting. We're talking about European horses and American horses. They have different status. Tell us a little about that.
Yes, when I traveled and experienced riding, training, teaching cultures, overall place of a horse in society, the difference is such that today in the North America, it's both United States and Canada, horses are really loved. Americans love horses. Of course, they do sports. Of course, they have ribbons and prizes and medals and competition pyramid and all that stuff. But for the community of equestrians, young riders, juniors, adult amateurs, as well as professionals, horses are, I call it, first-class pets. So there is a cat, there is a dog, and there is a horse. And they all are one first-class pet. They are part of family. And horses are expected to stay in the family. The family is their home. Whether it is a kid rides a horse, whether it is an adult amateur rides a horse, or this horse belongs to a trainer, the expectation is that this is a lifetime partnership. And if it's not, there are, of course, different reasons and such, then there is a transfer of the ownership, which looks like more adoption with a money exchange, but not as a sale of goods. So there is slight difference in culture that way. And when I would experience the same anyway in Eurasia, like Western Europe, Eastern Europe, Russia, then here the culture is still that horses are livestock. And in the family construct, there are people, then there are first-class pets, which are cats and dogs, and then there is, and those are not for human consumption. And then there is second-class pets, which are the horses belong to that second class. And they are eventually sometimes for human consumption. And even like if you look at the breed passport, like if it is some Verband, like in Germany, then on the medication administration page, there is in small font signage that certain medications cannot be administered to sport horses because horses are ultimately for human consumption. So this is a class level difference in approach. That is a reflection of the overall notion that equestrian sports is a numbers game. And people turn over horses much quicker with greater ease in Eurasia. Versus in Americas today, since they passed the legislation years ago and closed the horse slaughters, it is the expectation is that the horse is a pet, not for human consumption, and it is lifelong partnership.
Yeah, and I have felt that as a horse dealer. I was a horse dealer some years ago. As you said, that yeah, if it's not good enough in competition or something, we just sell it and get another horse. So I really liked your thinking about the consumption, because it is in the head that, yeah, this is a horse and it has to be slaughtered sometime.
Yeah, and that drives a difference in overall industry culture
Mm.
and relationships and missions and objectives of participating stakeholders. If you understand that, hey, the horse stays with you for an extended period of time, then you start really thinking, okay, I need to get a really high quality of a horse. Then I need to have a very good equestrian facility for the horse, a very good feed, the best saddle possible. I need to have a good key trainer and expose my horse to good clinicians. So that drives longevity, drives quality, expectation and preparation for quality. It is a more quality game versus if horses are looked as a little bit like disposable and means to the end, and it is a numbers game, then it drives more economy, efficiency. Yeah, efficiency. Oh, I need invest as little as possible. I will have this horse 2, 3, maybe 4 years. Then I will move it somewhere. And the cheaper I do it, the more profit I get. So then it's a very different culture. And that's where I think it's good to bring up what the Italian Equestrian Federation did
Yes.
recently, and it was fantastic. Yeah, because in Italy, and I'm surprised that they did it first in Italy, that it's coming out of Italy, but it's coming from Italy. They gave sport horses the status of athletes. Now, sport horses are not in Italy. They are not for consumption. They expected to have a good life and good lifespan as athletes. Yeah, so they are at least first class pet in Europe, in Italy now. I hope that other federations will eventually follow, and maybe you and I somehow can contribute to that expansion of a cultural change.
Yes, because something has to be done. And also this thinking, I have a lot of customers who have a horse and they are afraid to ride them, and they say, oh, I can't have this fine horse here in on my property, because he has to be with someone else who can use it for what it's made for. And I always say, yeah, isn't it your friend? You can have him. You don't have to ride him. You can just have him. But as you said, it's another culture that you can't have a horse and just pay for it and have it at home. Uh,
I
it's
agree with you
yeah.
totally. And that's why on my website, equestrianstrategies.com, if anybody is curious, they can go and look. I published there a series of video tutorials about how to look at the horse's lifespan, training stages, and how to design a training plan for the horse, being a horse owner, whether you're a kid, whether you are an adult amateur, or you are a trainer. The person in the horse ownership role, yeah, in a horse supervisory role needs to have this material. And the first foundational prerequisite for confidence is to know this theoretical base. Because even if the person feels that they are sort of like timid to or do not feel confident, this horse is too much for them, too hot, too big, too expressive and such, and they feel challenged by developing on that horse or with that horse, then for sure the role of methodist for that horse stays. It's in us by default. as horse supervisors and caretakers. And so that material gives the foundation of it. Once you know how the horse being is from the fall to the last days of retirement, then people all of a sudden are like, oh, and they become managers. They become managers. And then from the role of a manager, other roles unfold. It can be a role, I'm a horse owner, I lease my horse to somebody and I oversee horses training that person's performance. It can be a sale or a transfer for adoption to somebody else. It can be, oh, because now I'm a manager, and I understand what needs to be done and how and when. A person starts tuning the mix of a horse's environment and training. Maybe it's a move to a different facility. Maybe it is hiring a different coach. Maybe it is shifting tech, discipline, angle in training, a lot of things. But that material enables a horse owner, horse supervisor to make these steps.
Yeah, that sounds great. I will put the link here by the podcast so people can go in and have a look at that. It sounds great. Yeah.
So your question, Anne, was about helping people to feel, confident, and have good relationship with the horse. And when I was thinking of your questions and of the themes of your YouTube page and your podcasts that you've recorded with your previous guests, I thought, what can I add, to Anne's topic, how I can contribute. And as I was thinking, I thought that there are maybe a few situations or a few dimensions to this that I can remark on. And the first is people feel confident when they know the subject really well, when they know the framework and rules of the game. It's like a table game. You play Minecraft or you play cards, you know the rules. Once you know the rules, you become wonderful at that, right? Then there is a next level at the cards game. It's poker, you start playing with it, you become creative, you start flirting with the game, you add poker faces on top of it. So knowing the material in simple words, what needs to be done and when, having the foundational framework is one. Once it's done, what else can be done? I had a rider who was amazingly talented, a young lady, and they purchased out of Canada a very sensitive show jumper for her. They were looking actually for a very calm horse that looked and behaved calm on the day of visit and purchase. But the bloodlines of a horse, when I saw the horse and when I've gotten to know the bloodlines of a horse, it was one of the most firing horses possible for a very big show ring. And the girl, there was no contact between the girl and the horse. The girl was afraid to touch the horse's nose. At the moment when she would attempt to touch the horse's nose with her fingers, she would be like electrocuted back. It was too much for her. It was a big animal, absolutely gorgeous. And she had a good feel and amazing balance. And her perception span and speed of reaction were outstanding. So she had a lot of talent to ride that horse. But that was her innate prime reaction to anything, not only the horse. So in that specific situation, it became clear that this is not a good dialogue, because it can become changing horses' self-perception and behavior towards human. It can become bolder and such. And it could drive unnecessarily the young lady even deeper anxiety. Yeah, so that was not a good partnership. And after this evaluation, the recommendation to the family was to find the horse a new home, which was done. And a very new rider stepped in, absolutely bold and confident. And it was a very, very good partnership. Yeah, so matchmaking needs to be done as well a little bit.
It's like a marriage.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The other aspect is, I would add competition success and comparing yourself to others, and also how we feel after trauma. Yeah, let's start with competition. When we go and compete with a horse, we step forward with all the best intention. Our horses at home were excellent and soft and wobbly and chewing the bit out of your hand and listening and all tuned into you. And you've been in that competition ring already many times, and the horse comes out and says, I'm not feeling it today. So you're either excused or your scores are not as high as they could be, and you don't get any good pictures or videos from your show, or your time on a course or faults. And then everybody cries in the truck. Everybody comes to a trailer and cries, and if you have not cried yet, I'm sure you will at some point, everybody cries. Ula Salzgeber, Charlotte Dujardin, top male riders. Sometimes they punch the tree with a fist, but everybody cries. So there are things we cannot control, and we need to know that we go through emotional curve, and it's natural, and it's part of us. It's a part of our experience as live beings, as human beings. But it's good to follow our own journey and do not compare us with others. The comparison can drive us down very quickly. And there are some people, some riders who are confident and they do not compare themselves with others. And then there are other riders who seek for validation from the shows, or even in the training situation at the home stable. They come and they wear these nice breeches and these nice boots with sparkles, and they have the saddle with Swarovski crystals and whatever bling they may have. They need that for validation of themselves. So for those categories of riders, my advice always is, work on who you are from within, do a lot of good to accumulate pride, and then to that who you are, to that proud who you are, add experience with the horses and such. Do not use horses as a prime brick or as a significant brick for validating who you are. This is another one for competition setting.
It is very difficult, because when you compete, it's just the word compete. You compete with other people. You see, oh, they are better than me, and all that. It's a big one.
Yeah, for that, good coach, good trainer prepares riders, students in their tutelage mentally that the win is to show up in the ring. You showed up in the ring, you left, check. Already this baseline is a check. And this is where it is truly a numbers game. You accumulate a number of checks, and a good horse, you know, that can produce good results in the arena has at least 100 shows behind the belt. It's not like, oh, it is my sixth show with this horse, and ouch, 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 we did not receive 65%, or we did not do this course in 35 seconds with 0 faults. It doesn't work this way. It's an aggregation of a large number of experiences and watching the averages for and the continuity, the trajectory of it.
That's right. And we have to turn that on.
Yes.
And as I have spoken to many also, that we have to go to judges and instructors. That's where we have to change it.
Yeah. I started following and preparing myself for a judge career in the United States. Thank you for reminding me to tell about this. So once I created all this material for the riders and trainers, I reached out to the United States Equestrian Federation and asked, can we make this material available to riders and trainers through the education programs in the United States Equestrian Federation? And to what I was told, yes, sure, but as an author of this material, you need to be accepted as a member of the faculty. And to become a member of the faculty, you need to be a judge in the discipline to what you speak about. So that triggered, you know, my judging journey. And right now I'm a graduate with distinction of the United States Dressage Federation Learning Program. So I can judge, I'm a beginner officiate at shows, at dressage shows. And judges constantly work how they can incorporate into scoring system, into judging system, into competition system, inclusiveness of experiences, yeah, that horses and riders have. It is a not solved yet topic. This problem is not solved yet. Today, different federations have a good understanding, and they've secured successful pyramids of competitions and levels of complexity. They've secured their scoring systems that change but very little over the years because they've matured. They are at a good state. And all other aspects of observing riders in the warm-up ring, giving riders a different sequence of entering arenas for show, especially with young horses or with people who are beginning competitors, that has not been addressed yet. What we see is, on the contrary, videoing is being pushed away from the warm-up rings for different reasons. Sometimes it is riders and coaches and show organizers demands. So we did not, as a community, we did not sensed, we did not feel good ways how to begin including riders and horses with different experiences and recognizing them. In one of the videos on my equestrianstrategies.com, I talk that horses' health and longevity is rarely rewarded. Yeah, so it can be a very good person caring fantastically about the horse. The horse receives nutrition, massages, training, competes at whatever level or demonstrates movements or exercises at whatever level of difficulty very well. But the horse has not been tailored for shows frequently enough to aggregate scoring or something else. But this horse lives through 33 years old. At 30 is still being ridden by children. And it shows this many years of healthy performance. The horse is sound, healthy, no soft tissue injuries, no broken legs, right? And for a very good period of time. That experience and that input, we do not recognize in a significantly good way anywhere. In the US, there is an attempt to reward so-called Century Club. Century Club, it is when the age of horse and rider is 100 years old or more.
Okay.
So that, yeah, this is an award. Yeah, it's an award system. It's not in the it's not a competition track. Horses and riders go through the same competition track as everybody else, but it is an award. So for horses, so if a rider is 70 years old and the horse is 30, you can see what it makes, right? And a horse can be 25 rider. So Century Club, but it must be different other formulas to reward quality and longevity and other efforts of the riders, not only 65% or 70% in dressage and not only whatever else falls on eventing or show jumping course. There is room for creativity for all of us.
A lot, yes, really. And that's right. Find out something else, because to compete it's fun if you make it fun, but for many people it's frustrating. They don't get where they want to, and the horses, yeah, they don't know, they don't have this competing in them. That's something we put on them. So sometimes it's not so good for the horse.
In today's world of internet and video conferences and podcasts and such, there is a new thing that is sending your video for training video or showing video for evaluation. There are so-called online shows.
Yeah.
And online training. I think that we may try to see and leverage these new mediums of people demonstrating what they do with their horses and being rewarded for that digitally.
Yeah.
This is a very different, it can be done at scale. It can involve and include very different people, age categories. It doesn't have to be their participation in recognized, authorized competitions. It can be done at the comfort of their home and such. I think that the more we look into this direction and experiment with this, beginning with online evaluations and online show organization. Yeah, I believe this is the path to go. I expect good things coming out of it somehow.
Yeah, I think so too. And as you said, you can compete when your horse is at home. You can ride at home and send it away. So it's also good for the climate. You don't use your car as much, and the horse is much safer at home. So I think also it's a very good idea. Yes. Was there something else you wanted to lift in this podcast?
That's a good question. I would like to know from the audience, if they would comment in the podcast, would they be interested in the topic on layout of equestrian facilities, and to which equestrian facility is good to enter with your horse, where it's good to board your horse and train your horse, what is layout, what it includes, and if you have your own land, your own property, and you already have some setup of training arenas, barns and such, and maybe you plan to do some modernization, or you build something from scratch, would this topic be interesting for people? In the series of my tutorials, that was my last topic, and I've only started making my drafts of that topic to realize how massive it is, and that it is a lot of work to produce a concise framework on that subject. So I'm curious to see, is there interest? If there is interest, please comment on Anne's podcast, and I will be seeing that. And if there is good enough interest, then I will take a deep breath and
do it.
venture on a journey to produce that.
That is a thing that equestrian has. We have this drive. We want to do something, and it's so nice to meeting people out there who are like you, and you have all your experience, and it's fantastic.
Thank you. Horses surely make us bigger than we are.
That's right.
Literally and figuratively, they make us into bigger people.
That's right. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming today. That has been a fantastic journey. I also learned new things here today, and that is all about to communicate and tell the world how we should think, about our horses. So thank you very, very much for coming here today. And for you out there, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will subscribe on this podcast so we can get on with more people and more subjects here in Horse and Hills. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me on. Everybody,
Bye-bye.
enjoy time with your horses. Bye-bye.
Bye.